In a 35 scales, its world theme that everything is already there and there is nothing more to be desired. Is it right? Or is it? Today I will tell you about 5 niches in 35 scale that are gaping with emptiness. This is my subjective opinion. You may disagree with it and you may agree. In any case, write your opinion in the comments. Also ask you to subscribe to the channel. It's not difficult for you and it will help the development in the channel. Well, this is my level English. I am in the process of learning and of course sooner or later I will move to my own voice. In the main team I have to use AI. Please accept it and do not take it with understand.
I don't know about you, but personally, I really miss civilian cars in the 135th scale. Sure, they exist, but first, there are very few of them, and second, they're mostly limited to World War II era vehicles. But where are the cars from the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s? And I'm not talking about Ferraris, McLarens, or hypercars. Just give us regular cars. BMW, Jeep Cherokee, Volkswagen Passat. I absolutely don't understand why manufacturers keep ignoring this niche. There's so much potential here. Yeah, I get it. 135th is mostly about military models, and if you want civilian cars, they send you to 124th scale. But 124th is way too simplified compared to 135th, and more importantly, it has way fewer diorama possibilities. And let's be honest, 135th is the one true scale. As far as I know, there are only two modern civilian cars in 135th, a BMW from Tacom and a Mercedes from Diopark. Both are linked to Middle Eastern conflicts, and both are nearly impossible to find. So I really hope that one of the model companies finally sees the potential, and instead of making the 100,000th, 500th Tiger tank, they release a proper lineup of modern civilian cars. The next model I really miss in 135th scale is the Ford AA. It's hard to believe, but not a single major company has ever released a Ford AA kit. And yet, there's already a Gaz AA, the Soviet version of the Ford, which with just a few simple modifications could easily be turned into a Ford AA in various versions. This could be expanded mini art style, taking one base model and producing many different variations. Personally, I love the Ford AA, and since there's no kit available, I've been seriously considering a conversion. And the weirdest part? Model T exists in multiple versions, yet nobody makes the Ford AA. How did such an iconic vehicle completely escape the attention of model manufacturers? Or am I the only one who finds it so interesting? Another category that is severely lacking in 135th scale is agricultural machinery. Different tractors from various eras and countries with all kinds of plows, seeders, and cultivators. And of course, we can't forget about combine harvesters. In real life, farming equipment is everywhere, but in scale modeling, it's almost non existent. Now, just imagine the diorama potential: farms, fields, haymaking, hard-working farmers. Add some animals, people, and suddenly, you could create an entire miniature countryside scene. This could be a whole new subgenre of modeling, but unfortunately, it barely exists, not just in 135th, but in scale modeling as a whole. And yet, there is demand for it. More and more dioramas move away from purely military themes, focusing on civilian life, post-apocalyptic settings, and other peaceful scenes. And where there's everyday life, there's tractors, harvesters, and farm equipment. I really hope that one day a manufacturer decides to explore this niche. Because if there's one scale perfect for it, it's 135th. One area that is seriously lacking in scale modeling is the theme of African wars. And I'm not talking about World War II, because that period is already relatively well represented. I mean the numerous wars and conflicts that took place across the African continent after World War II. And there have been plenty, with some still ongoing to this day. What draws me to this theme? First and foremost, its unique character. While World War II and Cold War era military vehicles are already quite familiar, seeing a Soviet tank in an African landscape, crewed by local soldiers, is an entirely different story. Moreover, African armies and insurgents have such an unconventional fleet of vehicles that they often look nothing like traditional militaries. Pickup trucks, gun trucks, makeshift armored vehicles, and even suicide mobiles. This offers a vast playground for diorama enthusiasts and modelers. To prove my point, here's a kit that's waiting for its turn on my workbench. A Toyota in the style of African guerrilla fighters. So far, only AK and Mung have touched on this subject in their model kits. I really hope other manufacturers take notice. And that's just the military side of things. There are countless fascinating civilian vehicles across Africa, each with its own history and character. All in all, I hope that sooner or later, African wars and conflicts will get broader representation in the world of scale modeling. Of all the themes missing in 1/35th scale modeling, the Chernobyl disaster and the vehicles involved in its aftermath are at the very top of my list. For some reason, this topic is almost completely ignored by major model manufacturers, except for ICM, which has released a few kits dedicated to the disaster's cleanup crews and specialized equipment. But that's nowhere near enough. Considering the vast creative potential of this theme, I genuinely don't understand why model manufacturers continue to overlook it. Just think about the sheer variety of vehicles used in the liquidation of the accident's consequences. Military and civilian trucks that transported soil, concrete, water, and chemical solutions. BTRs and BRDMs, which were used for radiation reconnaissance and securing the exclusion zone. Unique robotic systems, such as the Lunicod and Strela, which attempted to clear radioactive debris from the reactor roof. Excavators, bulldozers, and cranes, specially modified to operate in high radiation conditions. Legendary Mi-8 and Mi-26 helicopters, which dropped sand and boric acid into the destroyed reactor. Makeshift radiation shielding, such as lead-lined vehicles hastily modified to protect their crews. Each of these machines carries a dramatic story. Each could serve as the foundation for a highly atmospheric diorama that recreates real events from the 1986 disaster. While World War II, the Cold War, and modern conflicts are all extensively represented in scale modeling, Chernobyl, despite its historical significance and unique visual appeal, remains largely overlooked. There is so much untapped potential for entire model kit series based on this period. Military and civilian vehicles used in the exclusion zone. Liquidators in protective suits, firefighters, scientists, and soldiers. Diorama sets featuring scenes from Pripyat, the Chernobyl sarcophagus, and abandoned villages. And yet, only ICM has dared to approach this theme. No one else seems interested. I'm so passionate about this idea that I've even considered producing my own line of resin models, dedicated to Chernobyl-related vehicles. This could be not just an exciting project, but also a meaningful contribution to a nearly untouched niche in scale modeling. I don't know about you, but I feel a serious lack of Chernobyl-themed models in our hobby. I hope that one day, manufacturers will finally pay attention to this subject. Or maybe I'll just have to take matters into my own hands. These were my subjective top what models are missing in 35 scale. Write your versions in the comments, as well as do not forget to subscribe, and see you soon.